You know, it's not like I want to hate these movies whenever I go see them. You guys know that, right? I didn't want to hate Lightyear when I saw it, but I did. I didn't want to hate Strange World when I saw it, but I did. And I didn't want to hate Wish when I saw it, but I did. And now it's gotten to a point where I just expect the worst when it comes to watching either a Disney or a Pixar movie. Admittedly, Pixar has been doing better than Walt Disney Animation Studios, but even then, their movies don't feel quite as good as they could be. Luca and Turning Red were just good, Elemental was okay. Really, the last major knockout that we got from Pixar was Soul back in the year 2020, which I know wasn't that long ago, but boy, does it feel like it, doesn't it? And to make matters worse, you probably already saw the interview from Pete Docter about the future of Pixar, and it was not looking good at all. Oh, apparently movies about personal stories like Turning Red and Elemental aren't marketable enough, so we need to make movies that are more marketable. Oh, you mean movies like Lightyear and Wish were? You know, movies that did super well and were beloved by everyone? Those are the kinds of movies that Pixar needs to keep making more of? Are you fucking serious?
Oh my god. The duck's burned! You're cooking in a burnt pan, you fucking dick! Oh my god, leave it, leave it, leave it! Just fucking leave it! You're gonna blow fire in your face, you fucking donkey!
That's why when it came to Inside Out 2, it both saddened and didn't surprise me at all when there was little buzz surrounding it. It's sad because out of all the Pixar movies out there, Inside Out was the one that deserved a sequel the most. Quick thoughts on the first movie? It's fantastic. I would argue it's the funniest Pixar movie they've ever written. It's just so sharp and fast-paced, and the chemistry is just so good with the characters, and oh man, can we talk about how good of characters joy and sadness were? The message was profound, the world of Riley's mind was so inventive and fun, it debatably was the best Pixar film of the 2010s, and it stands toe-to-toe with everything before Cars 2. And like I said, with a concept like this, you could have multiple movies or even a TV show. There's a lot you could do with this. So again, despite this being a good idea on paper, I was also kind of nervous to go see it because I was so afraid Disney was going to pull their typical bullshit and get their grimy little paws all over it, making it as corporate and as clean as possible. Don't touch my fucking Inside Out sequel, Disney. I swear to God, if I get even a whiff of Lightyear in this movie, you are dead. Well, I guess you could say I was feeling anxious about this movie. But I do always give these movies a fair shake when they come out. Remember, I wasn't expecting Encanto to be that good, and yeah, it turned out to be one of Disney's all-time best movies, which is wild given when it came out. So I went and saw Inside Out 2, and guys, we are so fucking back! Inside Out 2 was great. What a relief! I am so happy to announce that Inside Out 2 isn't just an average good Pixar movie like Luca or Turning Red was. No, it's legitimately a great Pixar movie that's also a worthy sequel to the original. And while it's not as good as the original was, it still blows almost every animated movie released by Disney and Pixar this decade out of the water, save for Encanto and maybe Soul. Like its predecessor, it does suffer in the story department in that it can't help but repeat the first movie's formula. For most of the movie, it's just joy in the other emotions, exploring Riley's mind and encountering these cool and wildly imaginative concepts. And like, it's good, but you can't really escape the vibe that the first movie gave off, and it lingers over a good chunk of the movie. It's also not quite as funny as the first one. It's still funny, just not as funny. I won't spoil it, but the best joke involves this backpack knockoff and dynamite, and I'll just leave you with that thought for now, so there. But to be honest, Inside Out's strength was never really in the story, but it was in the characters and their journey. And man, does this movie just nail it when it comes to writing complex and nuanced characters. Judging from the trailers, you think Anxiety was the villain of the movie, right? And sure, she's an antagonistic force that drives the plot, but I wouldn't call her a villain because, like the other emotions, she's just doing her job and does have Riley's best interest at heart. The way this movie depicts Anxiety is astounding. How it can be so controlling and over the top, but at the same time, given the message of the previous movie, it's also a valid and healthy emotion that exists. Again, I'm not going to spoil the movie, you definitely should go see it for yourselves, but let's just say if Anxiety was dealt with like a lot of people thought she would be, It would just be an insult to the previous movie's message about how all emotion is valid and important. Anxiety sucks, okay? Trust me, I know. Coming from someone who's always wondering what he's gonna do tomorrow, or next week, or next month, or whatever, like, what am I gonna review next? Will people like it or even watch it? Will all that time and effort be just for nothing? It's an emotion that everyone experiences and can relate to. It's the most relatable I've felt to Riley ever in either of these two movies. Watching her make bad choices because her anxiety keeps on saying it'll work itself out or it'll be good for you eventually is just too damn real. So writing her off as a villain and just getting rid of her like a lot of people expected or even hoped for would have been a complete bastardization of the previous movie, and I am so glad they did not go down that route. I won't spoil how it ends, but I love how it expands upon the message of the first movie too, while also being its own message as well. While the first movie showed that bottling up sadness is unhealthy and every emotion has its purpose, this movie says, well, again, without spoiling it, let's just say if Turning Red was a movie about physical puberty, then this movie is about mental puberty, the change our mind undergoes as we enter our teenage years, which I'm sure we all don't look back on fondly, but that's kind of the point. I love the way this movie expands on the world building of Riley's mind, like with the sense of self, negative memories that we wish we forgot and pushed to the back of our minds. I love the sarcasm scene. That shit was really funny. It may be a dad joke, but it was a funny one, damn it. I also like how they took a look back on the first movie and worked out some of the plot holes, like why couldn't Joy and Sadness just use those memory tubes to fly back to headquarters? Well, in this movie, they're actually after something, so they can't just go back whenever they want to. Well, isn't anxiety and fear just the same emotion? That doesn't make any sense. Well, the movie actually explains pretty well why there's a difference between the two. While fear is afraid of things that exist, anxiety creates scenarios in the head that may or may not happen. What can I say? They thought this stuff out in the writer's room, and people trying to nitpick it on Twitter when they haven't even seen it yet just got pretty annoying, to be honest. But to be fair, that's just Twitter for you, I guess. The casting, as always, is pitch perfect. Hell, dare I say, it's actually a little better this time around. Mainly because Mindy Kaling is no longer here. Thank the Lord. Good riddance to that grimy bitch who taints every fucking thing she's in. You guys hate her because she made Velma. I hate her because she admitted to sexually assaulting someone on live television.
It's not that, see, you just went for it. You just started kissing that guy, that picture, yeah.
He was just looming, he was looming above me.
Yeah.
And he asked me a question, I was not listening to him at all, because who cares what he was saying? And I was just like, And then he reacted like that, and I pretended it didn't happen. And then I walked backstage where we have two writer-producers, Ike Barinholtz and David Zassin, and they were like, hey man, what are you doing? You could be sued for that. And I got very scared, and then I said, tell anyone and you're fired.
Yeah, so basically that's going to be happening a lot more now, too, because you got away with it.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Admittedly, I do miss Bill Hader as Fear, but Tony Hale isn't a bad replacement, and Maya Hawke just freaking kills it as Anxiety. Just literal perfect casting all across the board. So damn good. Man, this is just such a breath of fresh air. I know I'm making it sound dramatic and all, Soul was only 4 years ago, but with that interview that came out, it just makes the fact that Inside Out 2 is this good all the more tragic, honestly, because again, the studio isn't interested in doing emotional and personal stories anymore. Now it just wants to do squeaky clean sequels and corporate products and all that because that's where the money is, apparently. Oh, if only Luca and Turning Red made more money in the box office. You know, the one they didn't fucking go to. With the direction that Pixar is gonna start going in soon, it makes me sad that this might be the last time, for a while anyway, that a Pixar movie will feel this personal, this relatable, and this real. It genuinely feels like a Pixar movie from back in Pixar's heyday in the way that Pixar used to do best. It made you feel something. It had something that it wanted to say, and it said it well. But maybe there's some hope here. Because, like the movie says, it may seem overwhelming at times, but we can't let our anxiety of what might happen keep us from looking forward to the future. And hey, if this movie does well in the box office, which it looks like it might be, then maybe Pixar will be convinced they're wrong. That audiences still want and deserve personal stories. Stories that make them laugh, make them cry, and make them heal. Exactly the kind of thing that people love about Pixar. Or maybe they'll just miss the whole point like they did with Lightyear. Focus more on pointless sequels and care only about the money. Only time will tell. But yeah, Inside Out was fantastic. Go watch it. You'll feel every emotion except disappointment.